Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. So today we are going to be talking about how to simplify square roots. So I want you guys to pause the video and I want you guys to try this problem on your own. Okay, so I'm assuming that you did. So I have square root of 200. So what I want to do right now is I want to break this square root of 200 into its most simple form in terms of multiplication, and then use that to create some exponents and undo this exponent using the square root. And you're like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? Don't worry about it. I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this down into some forms here. So we're going to do 2 and 100. Why? Because 2 times 100 is 200, right? So I'm just breaking it down. I'm factoring out the 2, and but I'm not really changing this number at all. 2 times 100 is 200. So then I'm going to break this down even more. I'm going to 2 times 50. Why does that work? Because 2 times 50 is 100. So if you guys take a look, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 50 is 200. So it works. I'm going to break it down here, 2 and 25. Why? Because 2 times 25 is 50. And I could break it down even more. By the way, we do 2 times 2, which is 4. 4 times 8, 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 25 is 200, right? So if you multiply all these numbers that are broken down most here, it will equal to 200, right? And then I can break this down into 5 and 5. Because 5 times 5 is 25. So we can do 2 times 2, which is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 5 is 50. 8 times 5 is 40. And 40 times 5 is 200. So as you can see, all of these numbers really doesn't mean anything different than 200. So I basically factored it out to its most factorable form. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this problem now like this. Because this is equal statement, right? 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 5, right? Why? Because 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 times 5 is 200. And if you don't believe me, I want you guys to pause the video and actually put into the calculators to see for yourself that this is actually the same thing as that right there, okay? So we're going to do equal sign, and we're going to do 2 squared. I'm going to put this into exponential form in terms of squares, because once we put into terms of squares, we can square root it and then get rid of the square. That's why we want to put it in terms of squares. And then we got 2, and then we got square root of 2, and then we got 2 5s here, right? 5 times 5 is 5 squared. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 2 squared, and then I got this 2 left over here, times 2, and then 5 times 5 is 5 squared, okay? And then we got, when we do this, square root of 2 squared, remember square root undoes the squaring. And so when we undo the squaring, we got 2 times square root of 2 times, and then this square root undoes the square here, and therefore it's going to be just 5. And so we got 2 times 5 times square root and then of 2, and then 2 times 5 is 10 times square root of 2. So my answer is 10 square root of 2. Okay, so so that's the answer, and this is the most simplified form here. And I encourage you guys right now to actually pause the video, and I want you guys to put into the calculator. I want you guys to put into the calculator square root of 200, and then also put in square root of 10 square root of 2. And then you'll find that this is actually the same thing as that right there, okay? So that's how you do this here, okay? All right, so I want to show you guys even a more simple form, and I think this might be a bit helpful too. So I have square root of 200, right? And in my mind, I'm just gonna factor out, like what I did right there. I'm just gonna factor out 2 out of 200, and it's just gonna be that. And then I'm gonna do square root of 2 times square root of 100, right? Because I'm just taking this out right here, putting a multiple sign here, and breaking this down into 2 terms using multiplication. But what I do know is square root of 2 cannot be more simplified, but square root of 100 is a perfect square. So if this is a perfect square, then I'm going to just multiply by 10. So what my answer is 10 square root of 2. So, and as you can see, the answer is the same. Answer is the same. So that's another way to do it. I think this way is a bit more simple, right? So as soon as you get a perfect square, right? As soon as you get a perfect square, you can stop. Like you can just factor it out like this and then simplify it like that, okay? So that's pretty much it for this one. Let's go ahead and check the answer. We got 10 square root of 2. We're gonna check the answer here. Here's a hint. So basically, right, I don't know if you can see, yeah. So what Khan does is Khan does the factoring first, right? So you guys see 2 squared times 5 squared times 2. So that's basically what we did here. 2 squared times 2 times 5 squared, 2 times 2 squared times 5 squared times 2. He just didn't put the square root over this yet, okay? And then after he factored out to 200, he's probably going to put it into, into the square root, because square root, so this right here, these terms represent 200, because if you multiply it out, it's all 200, and you get the square root, and then now you're actually square rooting. And just like we did here, so this part right here, is exactly what we did here, right there, all right? So we got 2 square root of 2 squared, square root of 2 squared, square root of 2 squared, square root of 5 squared, square root of 5 squared, and then square root of 2, square root of 2. And then you got 2 times 5, 2 times 5, squared root of 2, 2 times 5 of square root of 2. And then we did the whole multiplication here, and we got 10 square root of 2. Okay. All right, so the answer, in fact, is 10 square root of 2, and that's what we got here, okay? I'm just gonna be able to skip. Okay, I don't know how I can skip this here. I go 10. I'm just gonna, because I don't know how to do the square root thing. Check, and I want to get rid of this. Okay, 10 square root of 2. All right, let's try this one here. This seems a bit more simple. I want you guys to pause the video, and I want you guys to try this on your own, okay? All right, I'm assuming that you guys tried it on your own. So I'm going to write this down. Always start by writing the problem down. Okay, so I'm going to factor this out. 4 times 3, and then why? Because 4 times 3 is 12, and then this is 2 times 2. 4 is 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12. So I'm going to rewrite this as 2 times 2 times 3, right? And then I can rewrite this as 2 squared times 3. And then when you square root the 2 squared, it's just going to be 2 times square root of 3. So we got 2 times square root of 3. Voila. So that's the most simplified form. If you would like to do it even more simply, you could just do 12, right? I can factor out to 4. 4 times 3. And then I already know that 4 is a perfect square. So I'm just going to go 2 and 3. And as you can see, I got the same answer here. 2 square root of 3, 2 square root of 3. Okay. All right. I'm going to put the answer there. 2. I'm going to show you the hint here. 2 square root of 3. Okay. So that's exactly what they did. They factored it out as the most factored out form possible. And then, so I'm gonna show you. So you got 2 times 2 times 3. That's what I got here, 2 times 2 times 3. And here I made it to 2 squared times square root of 3, square root of 3. And then I got 2 square root of 3, 2 square root of 3, so on and so forth, right? And so, or you could just do it this form, right? Square root of 12, 4 times 3, blah, blah, blah. It's simple, okay? All right, so I'm going to write, I wish I could just skip this. Okay, so yeah, I can't. Okay, check again. Please let me just go. Move on. Okay. All right, let's try one last one. And I want you guys to pause the video and try this on your own. All right, I'm assuming that you guys tried it on your own. So let's get started with this one. So square root of 100 or 180. Square root of 180. Gonna factor that out. 2 times 90, right? 2 times 90 is 180. And then let's do 45 times 2, or 2 times 45. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 45 is 180. And then we got 9 times 5, 5 times 9. And then 9 is 3 and 3. Okay, so if you do 2 times 2 times 5 times 3 times 3, it's going to come out to 180. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 5 is 20, 20 times 3 is 60, 60 times 3 is 180. Voila. And that is equal to, okay, 2 times 5 times 3 times 3. Okay. And then I'm going to put this into 2 times 2 is 2 squared. So I'm going to go 2 squared times 5 times 3 times 3 is 3 squared, so 3 squared. And I'm going to go 2 squared times 5 times 5 times 3 squared, right? So 2 squared, square root of 2 squared, square root of 5, and square root of 3 squared goes right there. And then I'm going to square root, that's the undo is a square, so 2 times square root of 5 times 3, and then you got 2 times 3 times square root of 5, and then 6 square root of 5. Voila. Okay, and multiplication sign, you can move it around because 4 times 3 is the same thing as 3 times 4. And then you got 6 square root of 5 is the answer. I think you might be able to do this in a more simple way, but you basically would have to stop here. Like you can do like this, but it won't be super simple, right? We got 2 times 90, and then we got 2 times 45. I'm just literally rewriting it here. And then 5 times 9. So as you can see, 9 right here is a perfect square. Now we can stop, okay? Now we could do, 2 times 5 times 9, right? And then you could make it a little bit more simple. You could do 2 squared times square root of 5 times square root of 9, right? And as you can see, this is the same thing. 2 times 2 is 2 squared, square root of 5, and square root of 9, right? Because 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 5 is 20, 20 times 9 is 180, right? And then square root of 2 squared, it's just 2 times square root of 5, and square root of 9 is just 3. And then 2 times 3 is 6 square root of 5. And then voila. Okay. And if you look at the way that Khan does it, it's always so difficult to try to just look at the hint. Okay. Get a hint. Okay. So once again, they factored it out like this, like we did here. We factored it out like this. It's literally the same. 2 times 2 times 5 times 3 times 3. 2 times 2 times 5 times 3 times 3. Same thing. And then square root it. This is this. Is this. It's just in different order. And then simplify. And then we got 6 square root of 5, 6 square root of 5. Okay, so that's basically how you do it. And if you want to do it more simple, but this wasn't super simple. It was a little bit more complicated than this one. It wasn't more complicated, but it wasn't that much more simple than this one. So, okay, well, that's about how you can do this one. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And I hope you guys have a great day. Okay, bye-bye.